Every single evening, something strange happens, and almost nobody notices. For the entire day, crows are everywhere. On power lines, in parking lots, watching from rooftops, hopping through backyards. Then the sun begins to set, and suddenly, they vanish. One moment the sky is full of black silhouettes. The next, gone. Most people just go inside, close the curtains, move on with their evening. But if you have ever looked up at dusk and asked yourself, where did all those crows go? You are asking a question that has fascinated scientists for decades. Because the answer is far stranger than you might imagine. Crows don't simply find a nearby tree and fall asleep. They travel, sometimes for miles. And every single night, thousands of them gather in hidden locations to participate in one of the most extraordinary social events in the entire animal kingdom. During the day, crows seem almost ordinary, so common that most people stop seeing them at all. A crow on a telephone wire doesn't feel remarkable. A crow in a supermarket parking lot doesn't seem mysterious. But this sense of familiarity hides something extraordinary. Because while we move through our day as a series of unrelated events, the crow is working. Every hour serves a purpose. Every movement is part of a larger system. Every observation becomes a piece of valuable information. A single crow population may occupy dozens of neighborhoods at the same time. Some patrol residential streets. Others monitor parks. Others watch from elevated perches, studying human activity below. At first glance, this looks random, but researchers who have spent years studying crows know the truth. These birds organize themselves to maximize information gathering across the widest possible area. One bird finds a new food source behind a restaurant. Another spots a predator moving through the woodland. A third maps a recently harvested field. By spreading out, the entire population knows far more than any single bird ever could. And information, for a crow, is one of the most valuable resources in existence. As afternoon fades, something invisible begins to change. The sun lowers, shadows lengthen, temperatures fall, and somewhere inside the crow mind, an invisible timer begins counting down. Birds that spent the whole day focused on feeding suddenly become more alert to the movements of other crows. Attention shifts. Priorities change. Then, the migration begins. A crow leaves a backyard. Another departs from a shopping center. A third lifts off from a schoolyard. Each bird appears to make an independent decision. Yet they all begin moving in the same direction. At first, it's almost impossible to notice. One or two birds crossing the sky doesn't attract attention. But then there are more. Then more. Then more. The sky gradually fills with black silhouettes, all moving with purpose. It looks like invisible rivers have formed in the air. Streams of crows flowing across the landscape. Small groups merging into larger ones. Larger ones merging into something even bigger. There is rarely any obvious leader. No single crow directs traffic. No bird issues commands. Yet thousands of individuals coordinate their movements with astonishing efficiency. Tracking technology has shown that some crows travel several miles between their daytime territories and their nighttime gathering sites, using the same routes, the same landmarks, the same timing, day after day, week after week, year after year. The precision is remarkable, and it raises a question that puzzled scientists for decades. Why? Why would a bird abandon a familiar territory every evening? Why travel miles when nearby trees seem perfectly suitable for sleeping? The early answer seemed obvious. Safety. A large group is harder to attack. Many eyes detect danger faster than a few. If an owl approaches, the chances of someone spotting it increase dramatically. That makes sense, and it's probably partly true. But the real answer turned out to be something far more extraordinary. As darkness approaches, streams of crows converge on a destination that remains largely invisible to the human world. Scientists call these locations roosts. At first, the word sounds simple. A roost is merely a place where birds sleep. But in the case of crows, that definition barely scratches the surface. A crow roost is not just a sleeping site. It is a gathering place, a social center, an information hub, a meeting ground. And in many ways, it functions more like a hidden city than a nest. The scale can be astonishing. Some roosts contain a few hundred birds. Others contain several thousand. The largest documented crow roosts have exceeded 100,000 individuals. Imagine standing beneath a gathering of 100,000 intelligent birds. The noise alone is overwhelming. Calls echo from every direction. Wings beat overhead. Branches sway beneath the weight of arriving flocks. The air itself seems alive. One of the most fascinating aspects of these roosts is their stability. Many persist for years, some for decades. Generation after generation returns to the same location. Young birds learn where the roost is from older birds. Knowledge passes through the population. The site becomes part of the culture of the flock. This is not simply animal instinct. This is collective memory. For much of the 20th century, scientists believed safety completely explained why crows gathered each evening. Then the cracks in that theory appeared. Because the birds weren't simply gathering, they were interacting, constantly. Instead of arriving silently, crows often grow louder as more individuals join the roost. Birds move from branch to branch. Small groups form. Arguments break out. Individuals approach one another. All of this requires energy. And from an evolutionary perspective, animals do not waste energy without receiving something valuable in return. If the sole purpose of a roost is protection, why is there so much social activity? The answer lies in one of the most powerful forces in nature: social learning. Imagine two different survival strategies. In the first, every individual must learn everything through personal experience. Find food yourself. Avoid danger yourself. Solve problems yourself. Every mistake carries a full cost. In the second, you watch others. You observe success. You observe failure. You gain knowledge without paying the full price of acquiring it. The second strategy is enormously powerful, and crows appear to be exceptionally skilled at it. Researchers studying communal roosts noticed that younger birds often left roosts alongside older, more experienced individuals, and traveled directly to productive feeding sites they had never previously visited, locations they seemingly had no way of discovering on their own, unless the information had been acquired socially. Scientists named this the information center hypothesis. According to this theory, communal roosts function as information-sharing hubs. Successful individuals unintentionally reveal valuable knowledge. Less experienced birds observe and learn. Information spreads through the population. The entire community becomes smarter. And intelligence, in many situations, is even more valuable than physical protection. A bird that knows where food exists is less likely to starve. A bird that recognizes dangerous humans avoids unnecessary risk. A bird that understands seasonal change is more likely to survive winter. Information itself becomes a survival tool. Now here is where the story becomes truly unsettling. Of all the discoveries scientists have made about crows, one finding continues to unsettle people more than any other. It isn't their ability to solve puzzles. It isn't their capacity to use tools. It isn't their remarkable social intelligence. It's their ability to remember us. Not humanity as a whole. Specific humans. Specific faces. Specific individuals. For centuries, people assumed animals viewed humans as a single category. One person was essentially the same as the next. Most people cannot tell one crow from another. We see a black bird. We move on. The individual identity is lost. But what if the reverse isn't true? What if the crow can tell us apart, far better than we can tell them apart? This question led researchers to conduct one of the most famous experiments in animal cognition. At the University of Washington, scientists wanted to know if crows could recognize individual human faces. Their method was simple: masks, realistic human masks. Researchers wore a particular mask while trapping and banding a small group of wild crows. The process was brief. The birds were tagged and released. And then the researchers waited. Days later, something strange happened. Whenever someone wore the trapping mask, local crows reacted with immediate aggression. They screamed. They followed. They dive-bombed. They issued alarm calls. The birds remembered. But that was only the beginning. Years passed. The original birds aged. New generations were born. The mask disappeared for months, sometimes years. Then researchers brought it back. And every time they did, the reaction returned. The crows still recognized the face. Even after years of absence. Even after the local population had completely changed. The memory persisted. What happened next was the part nobody expected. Young birds, birds that had never experienced the original trapping event, also reacted to the mask. They screamed. They joined the mobbing behavior. They behaved exactly like birds who had personally been threatened. Yet they had never seen that face. At least not directly. The knowledge had been inherited socially. The older birds had somehow communicated the danger. The face had entered the collective memory of the population. Think about what that means. A single negative encounter became part of local crow culture. A piece of information survived the individuals who originally learned it. The birds weren't merely remembering. They were teaching. And if crows can share information about dangerous human faces, what else can they share? The answer appears to be quite a lot. Food sources, foraging techniques, problem-solving strategies, human identities, seasonal knowledge. Knowledge moves through crow societies in ways that continue to surprise scientists. Let's stop for a moment and consider what this really means. Imagine a crow sitting on a telephone wire outside your house. Most people would assume the bird is doing very little, waiting, resting. But from the crow's perspective, the situation is entirely different. The bird is watching. It notices who leaves which house, what time they leave, what vehicle they drive, whether they walk a dog, how often they appear, whether their behavior is unusual. And if information truly flows through crow societies the way evidence suggests, then every observation made during the day has the potential to become part of something much larger. A collective understanding of the human world itself. A person walks down the street. A crow watches from above. The human notices nothing unusual. The crow may already know exactly who that person is. It may remember previous encounters. It may even possess information acquired from other crows. We see a bird. The bird may see an individual biography. And somewhere, in the hidden gathering that forms every evening, that information may be shared with thousands of others. Inside the roost, as darkness deepens, the activity continues. The birds are not simply resting. They are interacting, calling to one another, shifting positions, forming groups, maintaining relationships. Researchers have observed clear social patterns within these gatherings. Not every bird occupies the same position. Some individuals appear highly connected. Others remain on the margins. Experience matters. Age matters. Knowledge matters. Reputation matters. A crow that has survived many years possesses something invaluable. It knows food locations. It knows seasonal patterns. It knows dangerous humans. It knows safe routes. Its experience has value to the entire group. Young birds, meanwhile, face a very different reality. The world is still unfamiliar. Resources are harder to find. Threats are harder to identify. For a young crow, access to experienced individuals can dramatically improve survival. And the roost provides exactly that opportunity. No classroom, no formal lessons, just observation. Watching who succeeds, watching who struggles, watching who survives. The result is a system that allows knowledge to accumulate across an entire population. Scientists often describe intelligence as the ability to solve problems. But there is another form of intelligence that receives less attention. Social intelligence, the ability to navigate relationships, the ability to learn from others, the ability to function within a community. Crows excel at both. And inside the roost, social intelligence becomes visible everywhere. As the night deepens, activity gradually slows. Calls become less frequent. Movement decreases. The enormous gathering transitions toward rest. But even then, the roost remains a remarkable thing. Thousands of intelligent animals, thousands of memories, thousands of experiences gathered from across an entire region, all in one hidden location. Most people never see it. Most people never hear it. Most people never realize that a hidden society assembles every evening just beyond the edge of ordinary attention. And as dawn approaches, the hidden city begins to wake. At first, a single call breaks the silence. Then another. Wings rustle. Small pockets of activity emerge. Gradually, the entire gathering comes to life. Then the exodus begins. A few birds leave, then dozens, then hundreds. Within minutes, the sky fills with movement. Instead of converging, the birds now disperse, radiating outward in every direction, returning to the streets and rooftops and parking lots and backyards where the cycle will begin all over again. Each bird carries with it the invisible benefits of a much larger society. For centuries, humans have viewed crows as ordinary birds. Intelligent, perhaps, but still just birds. Yet the deeper science looks into their lives, the more extraordinary the reality becomes. They remember faces. They share information. They teach one another. They maintain traditions across generations. They build relationships. They gather in hidden cities containing tens of thousands of individuals. And they do all of this, largely unnoticed. Every evening the hidden city forms. Every morning it disappears. The process repeats endlessly above our heads. Most people never notice. Most people never think to ask where the crows go at night. But now you know. They are not vanishing. They are gathering, participating in one of nature's most sophisticated social networks. A network built on cooperation, memory, intelligence, and communication. A network that has existed for thousands of years, long before roads, long before cities, long before modern civilization. And tonight, as the sun begins to set and shadows stretch across the landscape, look up. Watch the horizon. Pay attention to the small black silhouettes crossing the fading sky. You may notice them all moving in the same direction, following invisible routes toward a destination hidden from view, toward a place where thousands of intelligent minds gather beneath the cover of darkness, where information is exchanged, where relationships are maintained, where collective memory is preserved. The crows were never disappearing. They were simply going home,